The final phase in completing Operation First Look is adding all of our targets by phase by trigger, and then who is going to observe for these targets up top here. So we took this document to help us, this scratch paper to help us put the targets in order. So what I like to do is I'm just going to add those targets to this document in the order that we determined that they're gonna go. So the first target is going to be Kilo November 5005, then Kilo November 5010, and that is in from phase 2. Phase 3, the first target is our target, Kilo November 5200. Then the battalion target, Kilo November 5015. The third target, Kilo November 5205. And lastly, Kilo November 5210. Okay, so now we know that we need to just complete the TT LODAC for each one of these targets as we go. All right, the phase or FST, and also this is where you put the commander's guidance. So the first target, the first two targets are phase 2, right? And both of them are battalion targets. So if I look back at my concept of fires for phase 2, we can see that 5005 is supported by FST2 and 5010 is supported by FST3. So on my document here, put a backslash FST2 backslash FST3. Okay, now we're going to build each one of these row by row going across. Okay, concept of fires for phase 2. We need to fill out the rest of the information here. So the trigger they gave us was enemy OP observed and vicinity of this grid. Well, there's no real refinement needed for this unless the enemy wasn't observed from there, and obviously we haven't went to the field yet. So we're going to leave that trigger exactly the same. Enemy OP, OBS for observed, in vicinity of November Delta 619372. Okay, enemy OP observed in that area is what we have. The location for this mission is November Delta 61903720. Right, the observers, what they have here is battalion scouts as the primary, and the alternate is going to be Alpha. We obviously can't task on our FSEM the battalion scouts. So these are our observers, our primary and our alternate observers. Who do we want to assign to this? Now you can pick any combination of these folks here, first, second, or third platoon for your primary and alternate. During phase 2, second has the company priority of fire, so they may also have the best vantage point for these targets during phase 2, or it could be first and third, right? So for this operation, I'm going to place first platoon as the primary observer for Kilo November 5005, and by doing so, I'm just going to put Kilo November 5005, and then I'm going to place a P for primary observer inside of some brackets. For the alternate, okay, for this, I'm going to put third platoon, and I'm going to write Kilo November 5005, and then an A for alternate inside of the brackets. Delivery system for this first target, we said that it's going to be FA, so delivery system is FA, and then based off our target list worksheet that we created, which I'm looking for right now, we said that we were going to fire a battery, 3 rounds, HE, PD. Okay, the communications that are assigned to this are going to continue to be more robust as we go, but you're going to have a primary and an alternate net for your comms plan. Okay, so primary and alternate nets for the comms plan. In the operations order and then the commander's guidance said we're operating centralized, meaning that your FOs, in this case third and first, will call you directly. So the net that they're going to call you on, the doctrinal net, is company FC net. And because it's a battalion or above level asset, they can't get a hold of you and they need an alternate way to fire this mission, they're going to contact the battalion FSC net. Now, once you have this information recorded, this completes everything that you need for Kilo November 5005. Okay, once you have the location, the altitude, or the location from the concept of fires listed, it's your job to go find the altitude. You must include an altitude for every single location. So map spot there, and you'll get an altitude of 370. So for our observers, okay, for the observers here, who are we going to assign to this? Remember, for our concept of fires, that they assigned the primary as the battalion scouts and us as the alternate for ACO. Now we are acting on our document as if we are going to be the primary observer for this. So we need internally a primary and an alternate observer for this mission. Okay, you can see that I put it up here for time's sake. I just assigned first as the primary and third as the alternate. Could you pick any combination of the three? Absolutely. There is no really wrong answer here for this. And then we get into the delivery system and the attack guidance. Okay, for this target, it's listed here for you. It's going to be shot with the battalion mortars. The attack guidance is going to be a platoon, 2 rounds HE. Now their comp plan is internal to them at the battalion level. We need primary and alternate for us. And it's going to be those doctrinal nets that your instructor has talked about, which is the company FC net, meaning your observers are going to call you because you're operating as centralized. And the alternate, because it's a battalion level asset, is going to be to the battalion FSC net. With this information, we have completed the first on our FSEM for targets, and we need to move to the second, where we'll just do the exact same thing. So the trigger for the next target is the enemy D30. Observed in vicinity of November Delta 655367. The location of this mission is November Delta 65453670, and the altitude from the map spot of 380. Okay, again, we have a primary and alternate observer that's going to come internal to us. Okay, I'm going to use the same as first PLT and third PLT. I'm recording that information up here again for Kilo November 5010 primary and Kilo November 5010 alternate. Back to our delivery system from the concept of fires. They're using FA. The attack guidance is going to be a battery 6 HE VT, and then our comms plan is going to remain the same. Primary company FC net, and the alternate battalion FSC net. Next target up is our first target. Okay, for our first target, we know that it is happening in phase 3. And it's not going to support an FST, it's going to support commander's guidance. So in this case, CG1 for our first commander's guidance. So our trigger for this was a lead BTR 80 of ASLT force crosses intersection and the grid November Delta 6470 3649. Location of this target was November Delta 6350 3649, and the altitude 370. The observers for this, again, you can pick whoever you want. I'm going to make second the primary observer for Kilo November 5200 as the prime, and I'll make third the alternate, Kilo November 5200 as the alt. So it's second PLT, third PLT. Okay, for us, we knew this was the FA. We said that we're going to shoot a battery 3 HE, and then our comms plan is going to be the same as the previous two targets: company FC net and battalion FSC net. And this concludes our first target. Next is the next battalion target, which is into phase 3. And for this target, it support for phase 3. It supports FST4. Triggers straight from the concept of fires, right? The lead, BTR, and it does not say a force, so we're going to add in ASLT force. Passes a creek, November Delta 6420 3710. The location for this is going to be November Delta 6390 3800, altitude 370. The primary observer, okay, we can pick who we want. I'm going to stick with second and third for this mission here, and we're going to put Kilo November 5015 as the primary, Kilo November 5015 as the alternate. So second PLT, third PLT. Okay, for this target, they're planning to use the battalion mortars, platoon 4 HE, and then for us, our frequencies and nets are going to be the same, company FC net and battalion FSC net. Next target up on our list is our second target, which is Kilo November 5205, which is happening during phase 3, and it supports Commander's Guidance 2. Okay, back to our trigger math worksheet here for this target, and that we have our trigger is going to be the lead BTR of assault, crosses RD road, intersect November Delta 6329 3804. The location of this target is November Delta 6160 3827 with an altitude of 370. Primary and alternate observers need to be assigned. Okay, again, doesn't matter, you can make any combination, so I'll put first platoon as the primary and third as the alternate. So I'm going to add Kilo November 5205 primary, and then Kilo November 5205 alternate. So for this target, we know we're using the company mortars. We said section 15 HE. Now our nets will change on this. So our primary net will remain the same. They're going to call you as the FSO no matter what for every single mission. So the primary company FC net. Now, it would make no sense for someone to call up to the battalion, for the battalion to call back to the company for company mortars. So the alternate net here is going to be the company command net. Okay, our last and final target is going to be that FPF. So for Kilo November 5210, this is going to happen in phase 3 as well, and it supports Commander's Guidance 3. Look back at your trigger math worksheet, which tells you that lead enemy breaches company obstacle, November Delta 6123 and 3894. Location of this, November Delta 6124 3895, altitude 360. Okay, primary and observer for this, primary and alternate, you can pick who you want. I'm going to make first the alternate this time and third the primary. So 3rd platoon, 1st platoon. I'm going to record that back up top for my primary is 3rd. So Kilo November 5210 prime, and Kilo November 5210 alternate. Okay, for this, we know we're assigning the battalion mortars, and that we know the attack guidance is going to be the FPF 1325 120 millimeter. The primary and alternate nets, company FC net, and the alternate is the battalion FSC net. Okay, we already put all of our information up top, and this document now is complete, and we've completed all the necessary documents for Operation First Look.